When I said I was glad Charlie Kirk was killed, people called me a bad person. I think they think it's never right to kill, and therefore it's never right to take pleasure in someone's death. But I don't agree, and actually I bet they don't either. Let's say a guy walks into a mall and opens fire on people at random, trying to kill as many people as he can. How much does his life matter? How about whoever can get to him is justified in stopping him any way they can? If that means shooting him, and it might, then fine. What about someone like Hitler? Would it be okay to kill him? Why? It wasn't Hitler who was killing people, was it? It was his soldiers and other assorted law enforcement. He just sorta gave orders. And yet most people would be fine with killing Hitler. I guess that's the one thing Hitler should be proud of. He killed Hitler. You can't take that away from him. These are extreme examples that illustrate the point that not everyone deserves life. Not if they've committed to spending it causing misery to other people. Am I saying Charlie Kirk was Hitler? No. Am I saying he should have been killed? No. Well, yes. The real question is, how much suffering and to who can a person cause before it's okay to take their life? I don't know exactly where I think the line should be, but I don't know if it matters. People will put that line wherever they think it should go. But if they think about it, they might find they have two lines for two standards of who gets to live and die. Some people assume when the police kill people, it must have been justified, because they must have been bad guys or else the cops wouldn't have opened fire. We hear about events like the My Lai massacre and think, oh, they must be anomalies, our troops would never do something like that. Maybe it's a Russian hoax. But it doesn't take much for people who believe in authority to approve of killing. They don't hold authority to the same standard as civilians. Killing is only a serious matter when the killer isn't wearing a uniform. So where's the line for you? If you've seen the video this is taken from, you know this man is murdering another man. Would you act to stop him? How? Would you shoot him? Because that's the only way I could see you could stop him. He's killing someone. Sure, we only know that with hindsight, but cops in the US kill about 4 people a day. So is it justified to shoot him? Whether you say yes or no, whether you act or not, you're deciding who gets to live and die. A real-life trolley problem. Here's another example. A husband hits his wife once that we know of. The wife kills the husband. Justified? Seems disproportionate, right? But we don't know the full story. What if he had been abusing her in other ways, maybe for years, and this was just his first time using his fists? What if she had gone to the cops and the cops had done nothing, or made things worse, like they usually do? What if she thought things would just get worse and felt there was no way out? Justified? I don't know. I don't really have an answer. Feel free to tell me what you think in the comments. I think it's not clear what the right response is, and I wouldn't leap to condemn the woman. What if, instead of hurting his wife specifically, this man had spent many hours speaking to other men in favor of abuse? What if he gave a generation of men a reason to abuse women? What if he promoted taking all women's freedom and bodily autonomy away from them, and then the government did it? What if he lied about gay and trans people to provide excuses for people to attack them and legislate them out of public life? Said the government should eliminate food stamps, even though that means some people can't eat. What if he said homeless people should be rounded up and sent to concentration camps, which the state then proceeded to do, partly thanks to this guy? What if he advocated for more prisons, knowing full well they would be used to imprison and enslave Black and Latino people by the million? Because these traits describe pretty much any right-wing talking head you can name nowadays. There's no both sides. They won't let you live and let live, and there's no peaceful, legal way to stop them. Should there be no consequences for this kind of behavior? Or should there be consequences they could easily shrug off so they can keep spreading their bullshit? If you counter with, Well, what gives you the right to decide who gets to live and die? You're asking the wrong person. I'm talking about people who've already assumed they get to make that decision. They want to decide which groups of millions of people should be targeted by the state and vigilantes for prison, slavery, and death. They want a racially pure ethno-state, which inspires mass shooters and also ICE to kidnap and traffic people they don't like. And ICE sometimes kills people. They want to control people's bodies, so they criminalize abortion, which has also led to a number of deaths. These people's actions are very much killing others. They have more blood on their hands than an assassin ever could. Whereas killing people stops those people for good, and it intimidates others who see there are repercussions for their many assholeries. Don't get me wrong, there are things we can do short of grabbing a gun. I don't suggest debating these people or trying to change their minds. That would be a waste of time, as I've explained elsewhere. You certainly shouldn't waste time trying to appeal to the consciences of people who delight in making people suffer, because they have no consciences. Deplatforming is something, and it worked for a while until Twitter was taken over by a Nazi billionaire who reinstated the accounts of hundreds of other Nazis. You can throw milkshakes on these people when they try to speak in public, which might stop them from speaking on that day, so it's better than nothing. You can dox them so people can go harass them like they deserve. You could try hacking their bank accounts or something. Oh, unless any of these things I've mentioned are illegal, in which case you should never do any of them, or any of the other things you're thinking about. But none of those acts will permanently stop the bigoted demagogue trying to get you killed. So it's okay to take pleasure in the death of someone who strove to make life worse for people who were just minding their own business. It's especially okay if you're one of the people he targeted. It's okay to feel good about the death of someone who made you his enemy in life. It doesn't make you a terrible person. It means you care more about people and their freedom to be themselves than the lives of the people who want power over them. If you say that means I'm giving license to these right-wingers to kill and take pleasure in it, it might be time to realize they already are. Have been for quite some time now. Unless you condemn with equal vigor every act of violence by the fashy fucks Charlie inspired in life, and I know you didn't, why would you waste your breath eulogizing a far-right propagandist who's partly responsible for the far-right regime you now live under? Really, Charlie's murder should have been the time to highlight the horrible things he said, the bigotry directed at so many different groups being ground down by the system, and the type of people he attracted. Talking about it doesn't mean you approve of the killing. All it means is you acknowledge why someone would do it, instead of just making up your own reasons and using a man's death to declare war. Fortunately, we know using his death to scapegoat their political enemies is exactly what Charlie would have wanted and would have done. But people who did that, who highlighted the things Charlie said and what he stood for, got fired. I can only infer the people firing them for telling the truth approve of Charlie and want to whitewash his legacy. That's how insidious this white supremacist ideology is. It's an unprovoked, unconscionable, unforgivable crime to harm this high-profile piece of shit, while a few of his victims get quoted in news articles about how hard their lives are. Our empathy is directed toward some people and away from others. Well, I know who I stand by and whose graves I pee on.